Hi, I'm Danny Crouch from Choose Your Chapter, and this is Using Strengths to Become a Poker Pro. Episode 4, Drawing Dead. Now, obviously, that's a common phrase used in poker, but this relates to the world in these dire times of the COVID-19, where most of us are drawing dead in the sense of jobs, health, finances, all sorts of things are going awry. And as the purpose 3 or 4 weeks ago of these recordings was to follow my journey of becoming a professional poker player, times have really hit me in the face, which is probably common for a lot of people across the world. And I don't mean to devalue anyone else's experiences going through this in any sense. You know, oh, poor me, I want to play cards for a living and the world's interrupted that. That's not the case. This is going to be about how it's handled, how it's managed, and applying it to any situation. So in the past, I've been talking about the Clifton StrengthsFinder and attaching my natural strengths, my natural patterns of thought, emotion, and behaviour to preparing for poker games and for life in general. So I visit my top 7 talents. When you do the assessment online, most people will get their top 5, which is great. And what we recommend as coaches, after time, you unlock your full 34, which is the full spectrum of what Gallup have introduced as your talent spectrum. But I like to work on my top 7, basically because it's 7 days of the week. It allows me to focus on one per day. And also 7's a number for me, being the 7th of the 7th and so on and so forth. So I'm still going to continue doing this, probably not as frequently as it was going to be weekly. You'll notice the one was due this Sunday. It's now Wednesday. And I've been a little bit hesitant as to what to do and what to say and how to bring it up, because a lot has happened here on the Gold Coast and in Australia and around the world over the last few weeks with this virus. What's happened to us? Well, originally I was playing local pub tournaments and started out visiting the casino and starting to play cash games. And up until last week, that was all going reasonably smoothly. The casino came out with a rule that there was only going to be allowed to have 5 players at a table. And that really got me in a conundrum in the thought of a thought process. Because what I've found initially at the tables with 8 or 9 players, between sort of 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., you can tend to find maybe 2, 3, 4 players are there to have a drink and quite happy to lose some money. So there's some easy money there to pick off at. And then you've got some regular players who have got a lot better game. Now, my concern was if I go down there and find that the 4 other players are regulars and they've got a great game, I've got to turn up with my A game every time. So my maximizer at number 1, which is always looking to improve and find ways of doing things better. Now, on the converse side of that, it doesn't have a lot of time for weakness. And that's weakness in others, but also in me. So I tend to procrastinate in areas where I fear I may not be good enough. So I was questioning whether if I went down to the casino with only 5 players at the table, would I be battling against guys out of my league and they were just going to take my money? The next question was whether it's then just perceived as gambling rather than the whole objective of this is to build strategy and the mathematics behind the game and really focus on emotional, physical, and psychological ways of playing. So it was a big issue there, and I decided against going in the sense of, it could have been good. I could have had some great results. I could have played well. You never know who could have turned up. But I was more looking to my futuristic, which is number 5, and what might happen down the track. So it was unforeseen, but the chances are these places were going to close down, like casinos and whatnot. So I had to analyse all the pros and cons of what could happen. So first off, I have great success. All right, the casino shuts, great, bang, nothing to really consider there. Secondly, I break even. And in both of those scenarios, it really given me a fair bit of information to reflect on and look back on and study and focus on how I've handled those situations. But out of the 3, the most important to me was if I had a really bad run, how would that affect me emotionally and psychologically over the coming days, weeks, months, especially if all poker was shut down and I was left in limbo doubting whether or not I had the goods. So for me, that far outweighed the option of breaking even or coming out ahead, in the sense of I didn't want to finish what could be a long gap with a bad run. And then my maximizer just runs scenarios through my head of if only, what if, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. And it could really mess with my studies, my reflection, and how I may get back to the game when it comes back online. So I decided not to play. And as it turned out, on the weekend just gone, all casinos, pubs, and clubs shut down completely. So all poker as we know it was stopped. And in Australia, it's illegal to have poker sites. However, fortunately, I've found a site that allows us to play some games, so I can jump on there and keep playing and see how that all works out. So where does that leave me? Okay, well, it's really left me in limbo for the last week and a half, and we've had situations, especially in the hospitality industry, with all the pubs and clubs and restaurants shutting down, that unemployment has gone through the roof, and systems are falling apart, and people are stressing, and they're going out and shopping like crazy, and it's really in a detrimental time. So to add to this whole concept of poker, the way I was going to fund my poker was through a few different channels. A being Airbnb, where we've got rooms and a unit where we let out through Airbnb. That's pretty much shut down. The borders here in Queensland are closed, so there's no tourists getting in or out domestically or internationally. And the locals aren't really going to come and stay in Surfers Paradise because nothing's open. So we can pretty much shut off the Airbnb for the next coming months. Secondly, I've been preparing for rideshare. So for the last 6 weeks, I'm putting together all my licenses and insurances. I've spent somewhere around $1,800 to $2,000 and a lot of time organising and doing all this. Lo and behold, no one's leaving home. So that's pretty much shut that funnel down. Thirdly is my coaching. And for a lot of people here in Australia, personal development is it's not so much a necessity more than it is a add-on to life. And a lot of people aren't parting with their money at the moment in the fear of what's going to happen. So that's died off a little bit as well. And companies are more likely relieving people or sacking people because they don't have enough work rather than taking people on. It's a bit counterproductive because coaching actually helps with efficiency and effectiveness and profit margins and all that sort of stuff, but a lot of people don't see that. It's similar to marketing, where it seems to be the first budget that's cut when things get tight, when it actually should be the other way around, where if things aren't going well, you need to ramp up your development and your marketing to get things back on track. But individual business owners make their own decisions, and it's fully understandable why and how they do that. So not only is poker shut down, but my streams of income are shut down as well, which for most is a very stressful thing. Now, I could go into a hole, face depression, alcoholism, drugs. Where's the next dollar coming from? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay the bills? And it's times like these that I really need to call on these strengths and really focus on how I can improve, how things can happen. And this is where my connectedness at number 2, which is my relationship building talent. And for me, it's about whatever happens will happen. And it's about karma, and you can't control what you can't control. So that's really helped me over the last few years, and aiming to allow it to help me at the poker tables, not focusing on certain hands and bad beats, allowing just to accept things as they are. So what are the potentials here? What is the outcome or something I could look for and train for? Well, obviously, if I'm going to be at home, it gives me a lot more time to study and prepare. It gives me a lot of time to work on me personally and read and even play online and really develop and hone those skills. It therefore doesn't put my bankroll at risk because there's no money involved, which can be a benefit. On the negative side, yeah, there's plenty there, but as I've said before, Maximizer isn't looking for weakness. We're not looking for areas that aren't going to work. This is what it is, and life is as we know it. Probably what the biggest frustration for me at the moment is the way individuals are handling this whole virus and just getting things out of hand. That sits with me. That plays on my mind. That plays with me emotionally. It affects the household and how I use my tone in my language, how I address certain tasks, and I'm aware of that. I deal with it. I accept it. That's life. I'm not going to be perfect all the time. I'm not always going to be happy. I'm not always going to be just able to let things go. It's about being in the moment, accepting these things, and finding ways to improve on them. That's my maximizer. Therefore, if we look at other strengths, I've got activator at number 4, which is all about getting things started. So I'm at a stalemate there. It's really getting stuck, not being able to start anything. Even just walking out of the unit, it means getting into a lift that, maybe 50, 100 people have been pressing the buttons and spreading germs everywhere so I can use the fire exit. There are little things like that that play on people's minds. And heaven forbid there are people out there with kids and they've lost their jobs, and the government system here with what do they call it, job allowance or whatnot, helping people get on their feet. Their website's crashed for the last 3 days. There's 4 or 5 hour queues out the front of the Centrelink centres. These are really stressful times, and I'm not here to offer advice. I'm here to focus on what I can focus on. And as I said, my connectedness can tap into that and say, whatever's meant to happen will happen. And I'm going to go through it at the best possible way that I can. Where can I go from here? Yeah, these aren't going to be lengthy half-hour podcasts anymore until I really get some good content, which is interesting. The other talents that I can talk about is ideation, which happens to be today, which is Wednesday. And I've been trying to use my ideation to create and come up with ideas of how I can develop some streams of income. And plenty of people out there are doing that. Unfortunately, there are people out there taking advantage of people. There was an example of someone selling face masks at $5 a pop, when I think they're probably only worth about 50 cents. And that's commercialism. That's the way the world goes. But unfortunately, that's just taking it a bit too far. But I'm looking for ways in which we can help people and hopefully make a dollar. Australians are a great community in helping each other. We saw on the news last night there was a Sikh family who are literally just driving around delivering free meals. It's wonderful to see those sort of stories, and it gives you hope and faith in people that they're going to do the right thing. So unfortunately at these times, poker's going to take a backward step. And that leads me into my 6th talent, which is command, which is an influencing talent. It's about leadership. It's about taking charge and showing people the way. And hopefully, if this ever gets off the ground, these recordings will be about the virus and how to handle it in the moment, or perhaps in reflection on how we dealt with it and how we went through it. So I'm really going to use my 6 and 7, 7 being communication, to hopefully keep going with these recordings and communicate ways in which we can do things better. And if you're a poker player and you want to improve your poker, keep looking online. There's so much stuff out there. There's plenty of podcasts. I've mentioned a couple of them. Dat Poker I listen to, Two Hands, I think it is, or Just Hands. There's something like 270 hands they go through. It takes about 15 minutes to half an hour to talk through a hand. Loving those. I'm looking to do about 8 a day and really study betting habits and how people read people and stuff like that. So there's so many ways you can better improve yourself. The worst thing we can do is get lazy and just give up and sit at home and turn the TV on and just get glued to Netflix or Stan or whatever your pay TV system is and just crawl in a heap and stay to ourselves. Where my connectedness is going to fall down is my ability to connect with others. Yes, I can probably do that online, but it's not the same for me. For me, it's about face-to-face interaction, and that's why I love face-to-face poker and tournament poker, and that's going to really take a hit, but it's time for me to focus on me and improve me and connect with myself. So there's always an avenue that I can take and go down to be better at certain things. So I'm not looking for my poker to stagnate and stay the same. I want to improve and get better. There's a few guys that I was speaking to last week that we were talking about putting home games together, just putting a bit of cash out there and just having a bit of fun and enjoying it and keeping our skills up. That's pretty much off the table. The government have said no groups of 8 to 10 people, so poker's probably going to be out there. But hey, there's a lot of these free online poker sites. Get a few mates together, get them to log in, block a table out, and transfer some money across bank accounts or something like that. If I'm not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's for a bit of enjoyment. $20 here, $50 there. You can keep going. You can keep improving. So, you can study. regardless of whether it's poker or industry business. I think I mentioned early on that I joined Masterclass, and that came through the advice of Daniel Negreanu, who's got a class on there about how to play poker. For Australians, I think it's about $120 for his course, and you get it for life. Or for $280, you can get access to every course for the full year. So I did that. So far, I've listened to Daniel Negreanu and Phil Ivey's course on poker, but I wanted to expand. So I listened to, and I hope I get these right, Chris Voss, I think his name is. He was a FBI hostage negotiator. So he talks about negotiation and how you manage yourself, how you use tone, how you talk to people. Great at the poker tables, great in life, great in business, awesome. I also watched the course from, and this guy's name I need to remember, he's the CEO for Starbucks, and talked about leadership and their journey and where they're going. Really great to reinforce what I've been coaching and training to startups and businesses across the country and across the globe, and about bettering yourself and focusing on improving the lives of others, especially in your team and in your workforce. Really, really cool masterclass, that one. And I've just started focusing on a couple of guys, massive advertising and marketing gurus in the States once again. Again, I can't remember their names just yet. So I'm going to look at following through in those courses. There's a whole lot of cooking ones and all sorts of stuff that you can really benefit from. So go out there and find them. In this day and age, there's so much online content that we can grasp. Yes, there's plenty of free content, but trust me, you'll be chasing your tail looking for all these sorts of things. Go to where the experts go, pay a few dollars, and really get a good education. If you've been umming and ahhing about where this could end up, and if you don't have a job, this is the time to better yourself, to improve your skills and become a leader or an expert in your field. So that's my potential. That's where I want to go. Listening to, watching as much as I possibly can. Now, as I've mentioned, communication's number 7 for me on the strength spectrum. So I'm more of a talker and a listener. I'm not a big reader, so I prefer to watch and listen to podcasts and YouTube clips and video courses. Where for you, if you prefer to read and write, maybe keeping a journal and writing and studying through written form is a better concept for you. Remember, we're not necessarily looking to improve on weaknesses at the moment. We're looking for what we do well and to keep doing that and continue doing that. So that's going to be my focus. I'm going to leave here now. I'm going to upload this recording. Then I'm going to sit down, probably listen to 6 to 8 hands on Just Hands podcast. And then from there, I'm going to jump online and see if I can get onto a table and start testing out some of my online play, which I haven't done for probably 10 years. So it's going to be a difference, but something I'm looking forward to. So as I mentioned before, Clifton StrengthsFinder is where I go. I've got plenty of time on my hands. If you're interested in completing the strengths, I'll put a link to where you can buy an access code on their website. You can get it through my website, and then I can send you the code, and then I'll have your results as well, and we can have a chat about them as well. With times being quite dire, I really love strengths coaching. So if anyone wants help in the coaching realm, I don't know what the discounts are at the moment, but we're going to really drop our prices through this time. A, to better yourself, but B, I can see a lot of people facing depression, anxiety, and mental health issues. And the Clifton StrengthsFinder is great at helping you through that process because it really allows you to tap into who you are and what you do well. And hopefully with my strengths, I can help you get back on the track of going in a direction that you want to go to. So my website's chooseyourchapter.com.au. If you follow some of the links, you'll find Clifton StrengthsFinder in there, and you can come in there or get in touch with me at danny@chooseyourchapter.com.au. That's danny@chooseyourchapter.com.au. And look me up. And if you've done your Strength Finder, hey, I'll be happy to have a chat for 10, 15 minutes and just have a bit of a powwow on how you're using your strengths at the moment and how you can better use them. And outside of that, if you are listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a review below. Similarly with the podcasts, if you can leave a review, 5 stars would be great if you could, if you're enjoying this. And even on Facebook, if you're watching or listening to this, please, as I said, with no poker going on, I'm open for content. So if you've got questions about anything strengths related, if you've done your strengths, please share a question with me and I'll share it on a podcast what my ideation does with those strengths and how I could help in any ways. If you've got any suggestions on what to talk about, any podcasts you want to recommend, or coaching courses, anything poker related or personal and professional development related, I'm happy to share. Obviously, I'll pick and choose what comes up and goes from there. And I think I'll leave it there today. I can tell you, still going 20 minutes. Whether this content is interesting or not to you, please let me know. As I said, I don't have a lot of content because I'm not playing poker at the moment, so hopefully next week that might change. But keep an eye out, subscribe to these recordings, and I'll post one probably every 2 weeks until the world comes around. So thanks for listening. I'm Danny Crouch from Choose Your Chapter, and remember, focus on your strengths. Bye for now.